Hello, hello. Hello, welcome to this final presentation of this hackathon. Hello, please take your seats. Okay, I think we're pretty much complete. Sure, you have around 5 minutes, but we're pretty easy on that today because we dropped a lot of challenges. And please show maybe who is invited and who also participate in this challenge. So we're going to jump right into the final pitches. This here is the final pitch project overview. Maybe you can make a little photo that you know your slot. And then maybe the team number 1 could come forward and present the results of this hackathon. Can I start it?
Oh my God. No, not yet.
Okay. I hope if the sound doesn't work, we have to see. Hopefully it works.
So, hello. So our challenge was create an interactive map of Geneva to track down the racist and colonial traces in the city of Geneva, which is from this report, as we presented yesterday. So we have a great team these 2 days, and we will explain you what we do. So first, with Bertrand and I, we're trying to find items and topic to join the different entry of this report. We also had a big job, which is done by Felipe and Anna, to find all the location of this place for the addresses and GPS, and they make a great work of the conception of database. It was really incredible. And then we have Jan, who developed a user interface of this map, and I give you the rest for the images.
Myself and Yolanda went looking for images that were free of rights. So naturally we went to Wikimedia Commons, and we wanted to integrate the book also on that project. So we made an entry for the publication on Wikidata and related it to not all the streets, because not all the streets are on Wikidata yet, but to all the characters, all the historical people that were mentioned in the book, were linked to the publication. And we created a project page on Meta to document which images are already there, which are missing. So we have a few months to be adding images.
And then can we... We will show you our prototype.
Hopefully it's working. Okay.
So you can see the map. With a group of tags that were created by Julie and Bertrand, and historical facts, and all the characters that were listed in the book. The explanation of the map. So when you click on a tag, you get on a page. Yes. And the page will have pictures, they're not there yet. Now, for now, we have the text. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next group, please to stage. The next group is accessibility of cultural events. I think this is Beat. And Giovanni. And Jordan. You need drip that, right? Yes. Okay. Oh yeah, just take one.
Yeah, so we had this challenge about accessibility of cultural events, which is part of this larger initiative to go towards open events data. And what we have done is, on one hand, mock up how event calendars should look like in the future, and we have investigated a bit what is the status quo. We made some small steps towards the solution, and we're going to present that now.
Yeah, at the beginning we thought about having a working prototype of this website. Unfortunately, right now in Wikidata we found that there are not so many data, so because of this we also did an exploration, but we'll talk a little bit more about this. But we envision a website, a platform that can contain on the left the list of all the events that can be categorized in terms of the kind of event you have in terms of, I don't know, a music event or a drama and so on. The main column contains a picture, a video, and the description of the event itself, with some attention on the way in which the videos and the content is shared. And then we decided to dedicate a sidebar containing all the information related to the accessibility. In particular, we have a map of the place, of the venue of the event, then a list of accessibility parameters in terms of the place accessibility. We have all the information regarding how much is accessible for the wheelchairs, and the event itself as an accessible event. The idea that we had with Beth is that if you are logged in, you can basically have a look to what are the accessibility parameters according to what is your state of of health, or if you have any maybe any temporary illness.
So at present, we're kind of focusing on venues, so on places. And in the run-up to this hackathon, I've been in contact with several platforms. One of them is Hinto. And now you can already see to what extent they have implemented it. So they already have a pointer now from this event venue to Wikidata. So we actually have an authority included. And they have some basic accessibility information, plus they have a link also to the detailed information on the Ginto site. Ginto is like one of the platforms, or one of the databases that have been merged into CITIOS. CITIOS is a new association that kind of combines different Swiss platforms for accessibility data. And once you go on that link, you get further detailed information about a particular venue. And they have up to 150 parameters which they're tracking for venues. So what we want to do is, on Wikidata, we want to store high-level accessible information about these venues. You can see the different dimensions and categories. And we want to store icons, corresponding icons on Wikimedia Commons. So that in the future, these calendar platforms can just pull, once they have the pointer to Wikidata, they can pull all this information to their platform and kind of display the icons, and then send people to the detailed information on the CTO's platform or eventually also on similar platforms in other countries. So what I did like last night or yesterday in the afternoon, I checked out what data is already there on Wikidata. That was the typical stuff you have to do before you start ingesting more data. So there is this wheelchair accessibility property. And here you can see the distribution, like geographically, for venues or places with that property. And the key findings when inspecting the data is that this property is currently being used for different types of accessibility, not just wheelchair accessibility. And like in terms of people with visual impairments, we found that on Wikidata we have a negative also statement, whereas in CTOs we don't have that. And we're missing several dimensions that are in the CTOs database, and we need to add it on Wikidata. And there are, and that's the biggest challenge, I think, numerous conflation issues on Wikidata, like venue and organization items merged into the same item. So our way forward is like we have to change the label of the property to say accessibility of location or event, then create Wikidata items for the missing accessibility categories, upload corresponding items or icons to Wikimedia Commons, then ingest more venue items, and in the process clean up all these conflation issues on Wikidata, and then start ingesting this high-level accessible information to Wikidata coming from CTOs, and then we talk again to the event calendar partners so they can actually display the corresponding icons based on the data they fetch from Wikidata. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 3 and 6 is next, I think.
Je parle là? C'est bon? Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Sarah. We are here with GLAM to present you the number 3 and 6 challenge. It was about decolonizing Meg's database, the catalog online, and also solve the problem of indigenous people's name into the catalog. So here is the picture of all of us. I was in the first group, and Gala is presenting the second group next. So me with Florian, Joanna, Emma, Sophie, and Birk, we're focusing on the category population into the Meg catalog. And firstly, we realized that we have a lot of limit in the database as no existing standardization into the various words and terms, numerous synonyms, misspelling, and other issues that we had. So we find some solution as flagging inappropriate content. You have like a list here. So as you know, the MEX catalog online is, I've lost the timing, okay, no problem. So is only partly translated into English. So this list of problematic terms is in French. Then after flagging that problematic terms, we try to write new disclaimers or warning. So as you can see here, if you insert the word Iroquois into the research of MEG's catalog, this warning will pop up. I'm just quickly reading it because it's important. So if you use the term Iroquois, we'll have that warning. This denomination can be found in the MEG's historical inventory record, but is not considered appropriated. And then a kind of disclaiming. The third solution we found is OCR research into the historical inventory register. As you can see, it's the first mentioned here, archives, registre d'inventaire historique. It's a new entry in the catalog, so we are pretty proud of that. And again, because it's an inventory register, that could be some word or terms inappropriate nowadays, so there is that warning in English or in French. Another solution we found is updating the internal database. So as you can see here on the left, this is a standard presentation of object, and we were looking for some solution. For example, as you can see on the left, there is the mention of Canada, the country, but as you know, it's a problem for indigenous peoples, who were claiming for indigenous lands. So instead of the country, we'd rather prefer the social cultural area. Also, we wanted to mention if it's an indigenous people, and also we found a way to avoid some colonial term, as Iroquois mentioned before, by using the category autodenomination, in that case, Haudenosaunee, and then the mention identified by traditional owners. In that case, not, but it's important to make it clear. And then it's your turn, I think. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Can you stay there and then I tell you when to go on the next page? Okay, so I was in the same challenges with another subgroup, let's say like that. We were 4 working together, so Dimitri, Isabel, Stefan, and myself, and we were more looking for into technology platforms to use the information of the database and how to decolonize this database. So the sources that our team used, it was Native Lands Digital, which is a website that it is like a place where you can find the languages and the name of the populations of the world. It is a Canadian website, and it is so for North America and also for Latin America, it is very extensive, but for Africa populations and languages, it is more hard to find information. But the team was able to download the data of this website, so we were able to cross-ref. Can you go on the... Yes, so the database, the data set that was used was the MEG objects and also the elements of Native Lands Digital Territories. Can you go... Thank you. The problem was that one-to-one match is almost impossible. Unfortunately, the database of the MEG of the museum is not clean. So, for example, the way of writing the dates are not the same. Some curators wrote it on letters, some others wrote it on numbers, and the way of writing the centuries are not the same, so there's no homogenization on the way where the database is used, so it's hard. It's easy for reading by humans, but for the computer to identify two information that are equal but not written the same way, it's extremely hard. There are some typographic errors too, and the improperly formatted data, for example, here you have an example of a population that a social group that it's written Xerente like this with CH and another way with X over there. Yes, and the other problem also, it was the commas, a lot of commas that not formatted the same. Can you go next? The solution would be to solution attempt. We tried. Yes, we tried. The team tried to cross-ref both of them, but not with exactly the same writing. So it is with a writing that corresponds a little bit, but with the percentage, with how do you say that? With some variations possible. Mm-hmm. The result is that so the column that was used in the MEG info database is labeled ethne, the one that it's just here upstairs, and then with the database of land natives, about 286 matches were found. And but there are some mistakes. Probably if we would have done it manually with us, like if it would have been a human reading both of them, both columns and matching them, probably we would have found more. But it takes, unfortunately, way too much time, and we didn't have this time. Yes, so probably the foundings that we had might be used also here for the curators, for example, using only one term for the same population that is written in different ways, and also for updating some terms that are no longer usable for the population and the languages. Thank you very much.
Now number 5, please. It's number 5 here. Please, number 5, please. Ah, okay.
Okay, not agreeing on who will start. So we were trying to find colonial traces in early modern travelogues. You can see here part of my team, so Ibrahim, Maurice, and we also had Adis and Günther in the team. And Maurice will tell us, yeah, something about like what would be the use of such an endeavor for a historian.
So I start, okay. Okay. Sorry for the confusion. So, yeah, I started, like, our last conversations were like, what can we do with the data we gained, the extracted entities that Annabelle and the team was able to extract from the corpus of the travelogues we analyzed. And Basil and I, we looked at what can, for a user, out of a user perspective, but also as perspective of the post-colonial perspectives can be looked at. And so the question was, or the method was a post-colonial reading of travelogue data and to explore what that could mean with our result. And so we looked at perspectives on colonialism that can be gained by the extracted entities that are normally not considered in travel narratives. And so with the listing of names of persons, we could enable to shift the focus away from the positioning and the role of the author in the colonial project. And, for example, undertake schematic grouping, so identify in the travelogues intermediaries, rank-and-file employees, and marginalized voices. Another way to look at the data is make a listing of names of organizations that could enable us to look at certain areas and map the colonial infrastructures, for example, trading companies and railway companies. And another way is listing names of historical places, so we could compare the different naming of places in time.
Okay, and now a little bit on the technical part. So we discussed a bit how we could find these elements in the OCR text that we had available, and we agreed that we would try to make some kind of named entity recognition. And luckily, we knew of a project from Staatsbibliothek Berlin who trained a bird-based model with early modern print text from their collection, so we could reuse their model. And 1 second, where's this link? So we were able to install the tool with this model locally and query against its API and get back entities identified in the text. So it also has a web interface, and this is a small image of it. So you can query some text and you get back like the strings that were identified as entities and also the category of entity that it's been identified as. Yes, and the next step would be to do named entity linking. So for example, with Wikidata, we have not gotten so far, but there is another tool of Staatsbibliothek Berlin that could be used for that purpose.
It seems there is not much time to present the rest of it. For the project, for the front end, we designed. We used React framework and present in some of the data. This is belong to one book, as she mentioned, as Annabelle mentioned. These are the entities. This is the title of the book and the pages. And our next goal is actually presenting all of the books in one application, but because of some time concern, we could do only one of them. And you can examine or check it in our project or challenge page. Thank you.
Thank you really much. Next group, please. Number 7. Do you need a mic or is that fine?
All right. I present you the results of the challenge and the wonderful group. I'm so lucky that I had such a wonderful group that did all of the work. I didn't do anything. Just to remember what was the challenge, we had paintings, Chinese paintings with stamps on it. Each stamp was identified and had a person connected to, and the task was to kind of bring those together in a bit of an interactive way. So we had, that's the data that we had. We had 4 JSON files, images and of the artworks and images of the stamps. And we did a lot of more JSON files. We created a lot of JSON files. We set up a IIIF viewer and then changed it because it didn't work as we wanted to a different viewer. And of course, at last, creating the manifest with the annotations. We also had some moments where we were despaired. Inventory numbers, schemas are horrible. I think that's everywhere the case. In this case, it was very much chaos. And also, there was an inconsistent number of images of the artwork. So one artwork maybe had multiple images because it was a scroll that was like 20 meters long. So it took many pictures. And yeah, just the triple IF viewer was a bit of a challenge to get it running. But we kind of made it work. You can check it out, it's live. If you want to scan the QR code, it works on the mobile phone as well. Just wait a second so that everybody can. And maybe if you have technical questions, you have to ask those people. So we have here an overview of all of the artworks, or actually of all of the images of the artworks. And if you click on one, we have a good example, but maybe I'm already past it. Let's see. It takes a while to load the images, but it's room for improvement, that's always good. So of course you can zoom in, but you see here, there should be the This is this stamp was located up here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next group, please. It's number 8. GLAMhack ledgers and objects. Okay, we need a second here.
So, hi everyone. So our challenge was to link letters from the Archives de la Ville de Genève, what an interesting font consisting of letter exchange back and forth to the Musée d'Ethnographie. And linking these letters were written by, better. With, so trying to match these letters with the MEG database of objects to see if we can perhaps help with localization and provenance research. So here you have some preview of what was the file in each of the data sets. So left the letters, right the object. And so the hardest part was to match the names in the letter data set, because there it was written the family name, first name. In the MEG database, it's first name, last name. So it was kind of hard to make it match, but I think we did pretty well with that. We did that on OpenRefine, but you could do that in Excel as well. And one of the goals of our methodology was also to show that you can do it with like pretty much software that work on every workstation. You don't need technical competency, expect from Excel magic that Dominic will show you.
Exactly. We made the challenge to ourselves that we only use things that are around and that can be replicated more or less by museum staff, so they don't need some programming environment or anything like that. So this is the core of the project. It's a simple text join, so that's the first formula we needed. First, we only got 31 results. That's not that much, considering it's 30,000 rows file. And that was after we improved data quality the first time. So we did it again in more detail, and now we got to 7,000. It really shows that improving data quality, it's needed, but it takes a lot of time, and that's basically where our most time went. What you also need is VLOOKUP, unique, and this little strange array formula, and that's basically all we needed to do that project. So if you understand these 4 things, you can replicate the whole project for anything you need with the same questions without any programming knowledge beside Excel formulas. And then it ended up with an Excel sheet on the very left. You see the signature of an object, and then with the refined names on the second from the right side, we could match it with all the ledger file names. And so if you want to know where do I find more information about a specific object, now you have a list of letters where you can look up to and find those. These were not matched before. That's kind of the result, and because we had a little spare, oh, of course, just an overview, no administrator needed, no programming. Open Refine also works portable mode, so you can really do this anywhere. But please improve data quality this and consistency. This goes out to the Mac, especially date formats. There's an ISO norm for it. Maybe look at that, please. It would make things a lot easier. And some extras because we had spare time.
Yeah, so in trying to identify the authors of this letter, we are able to create 2 new Wikidata entries. We are able to match 37, actually 38, because I found another one, with statement on Wikidata. So you can now find running with this query if people are archived at the Archives de la Ville de Genève. And in the final data set, we also included the VIAF number for looking for national authority file in libraries. You also have a link to the DODIS, to the Elite de la Suisse, and also to the archive portrait archive database. So you can have a bit more to look at other Swiss database. And thank you.
Thank you so much. Next challenge would be number 10.
Yeah. Hi. So Hugo and I worked on OCR and linking of emergé inventories. So what is OCR? OCR is optical character recognition. So for example, if you're driving too fast in your car and you're speeding and the police takes a picture of your car, they're using OCR to read your license plate. So that's what the technology is doing, and we applied it to the historical inventories of the museum. So up until 1970, when a new object arrived at the museum, all of the information about the object was written by hand in these old books. So you would have, the huge chunk of text is the description about the object, where it came from. But then what's very important is that on the right, you have a code that corresponds to the object, and it's a unique code. So for these older objects, when curators are putting together an exhibit, it's not very practical, because if they want to find out more about the object, they have to basically go back to these books, which aren't properly indexed. So what we were trying to do was use OCR on that column on the right, so that we can basically detect those numbers and make their life easier. So the first step was to crop the section on the right, just to make the software easier to run. And then use OCR tools to get that information on the right. What we wanted was to end up with a table that links every object number to the registry. There's 18 registries. Each one is a big book that is here in the museum and the page. Yeah, so we tried 3 different methods. The first one is called Tesseract, and it's open source software, which is currently owned by Google. Tesseract wasn't really trained to recognize handwritten digits, but it's relatively simple to use with lots of information available online. So we started with that. And then we tried a family of models called Kraken. So we were very lucky. Yesterday, we had an OCR expert from the University of Geneva come over and help us. So huge thanks to Simon Gabet, who kind of nudged us in the right direction. They have models that have been pre-trained on collections in French from archives in Switzerland. So we were able to take one of these out-of-the-box models and apply them to these registries. The third option we tried was to start with one of those Kraken models, but then feed it pictures from the MEG collection so that it can recognize, specifically the handwriting of the people who were working on this in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So this was quite fun. We took like 20 to 30 pages. We worked with a couple of the curators from the museum, and what it did was, it would recognize all of these numbers, it would spit out the prediction, and then whenever it was wrong, we would fix it by hand so that it would train itself on our own data. I'll hand over to my colleague Hugo, who will show you how the models worked.
Hello. So for the technical part, after the OCR, so from the OCR we got some text, but we want numbers. So first we removed all the letters from the text we got, and we keep only the numbers that are in the range of the inventory we want. So this gives the graph on the left with a lot of data points still. And so after we did the Python script that will remove all the wrong data probably, and that will give the left graph. We can see on the x-axis the inventory number, and we want to match it to the register that is in the y-axis. And so we can see with the left graph, there is the cluster for every register, and we have the pages too for this. For the graph on the right, we can see some things like there is a lot of points in the low inventory numbers. So that's probably numbers that were cropped too much, or small numbers that was in the
in the data sets, but that were not inventory numbers. And we can see like line, we have the main line diagonal that are in the right graph, but we can see other line, and that's probably the first digit from the inventory number that was read wrong and give us some unphase from in the graph. And so lastly, we can just compare the three OCR model. So with Tesseract, we have got 3,000 numbers and 1,000 clean numbers, so on the left graph. With Kraken, we got a lot more of numbers. We got 16,000 and 8,000 number cleaned. And we can see on the Kraken trained, it's approximately the same numbers of numbers, but it's probably more accurate. And if I swap between the graph on the right, you can see there is like a little bit more of dots everywhere. Okay.
Thank you so much. Next one is number 11.
Thank you, Gaston. First, I would like to thank my team. I can't see you very well, but I would like to thank you, Hugo, who was right on stage before. And I would like to thank Sophie. They were helping me with issues in the field of Egyptology and astronomy and math. Thank you. So, 10 years ago, in 2013, a team of archaeologists of the University of Basel discovered this piece of local limestone in the Valley of the Kings in Egypt that proved to be probably the world's first oldest known sundial. It's just an ordinary piece of stone onto which a worker in the Valley of the Kings had painted what we easily can recognize as a sundial with a hole drilled into the stone that would probably have been used to stick into a rod that would cast a shadow onto the dial. So meet Ra, the ancient Egyptian sun god, the hieroglyph of whom you can see on the top left. This model can be used to make this sundial functional and interactive. Now, since this is an ancient Egyptian artifact, as you can see, the interaction elements, the buttons, are hieroglyphs. So this is what I needed Sophie's help for. So I will shortly explain. This is the icon for the view mode. You can use it to have a look at the so-called ostracon as it is. On the top left, you can see a ruler, a 10 centimeters ruler. So this is probably, you can see this is about this size, and it is probably the world's first wristwatch, portable watch or pocket watch. So you can use this view hieroglyph to toggle the side. You can look at it from the back, just an ordinary piece of rock, as we would suppose, but another tap on this hieroglyph button will send a prayer to Ra, let the sun shine, and make it interactive. Cast a shadow according to local time as it is right now. And if you happen to be not so familiar with hieroglyphs, as I was before, just a short explanation. These are hieroglyphic numbers. They are easily readable for us. You can easily read 7, 8, 9. This reversed U shape is the sign for 10. So 10, 11, 12, and then from 1 to 5 in the afternoon again. Now, as you are not so familiar with these hieroglyphic numbers, you can toggle numbers, of course, to Greek or to Latin, which may be a little bit more familiar, to Eastern Arabic, which any one of you will know, of course, or, of course, to our common Arabic numbers. Now, there are a couple of problems with this find, which we discover when tapping onto this hieroglyph. This is the hieroglyph for sun. So this is the button that toggles the different astronomic modes of the interaction. If we tap, we see this is the division of a sundial, if it were correct, on the two equinoxes. That is on around the 20th of March or the 22nd of September. You can see that almost no line will match, which is a problem, except for one line. That is the line going straight down from the hole to the bottom of the ostracon, which is, of course, the noon line. We can try other astronomical modes. This would be the situation on winter solstice, that is the 21st of December, summer solstice, the 21st of June. There is even an algorithm simulating the situation for today, precisely for today, but as we see, none will match precisely. There is even one last astronomic mode. This mode simulates the true solar time for Luxor right now at the moment. But it doesn't help, which leads us to a couple of conclusions we can draw from this ostracon. Maybe first an explanation for the fourth hieroglyph button. This is a papyrus roll, meaning text or information. This gives you a few basic informations about the project, and of course, QR code that leads you, guides you toward the project. Funny enough, this fifth hieroglyph, this lying cross, meant in ancient Egypt exactly the same as the X on the top right on modern websites means, namely close or go back. Now, what conclusions can we draw from this? There are a first and obvious one. In ancient Egypt and today, there were completely different time concepts. In ancient Egypt, the day, meaning daylight, was divided into 12 equal parts. Now, since days in wintertime are much shorter than they are in summer, and what ancient Egyptians would call 1 hour could last between 50 minutes in wintertime to around 70 minutes in summer. So that's one fundamental difference, which makes it almost impossible to match a modern time concept onto this ancient sundial. Now we could say, since just one line always matches the noon line going straight downward. We could say, well, all the other lines have simply been drawn carelessly, just to divide roughly into 12 parts. But there are observations that prove this, this is wrong. Here you can see that one initial shape for the sundial had been erased, and you can make other observations. In the middle of each segment, there is a dot dividing it into two equal parts. So these would be these would be the equivalent to our half hours. These would be some sort of 30-minute segments. So we can say whoever did this, it must have been a painter 3,200 years ago who deliberately and carefully drew this sundial. Another conclusion was, if you use a sundial, you have to take it out of your pocket, go to a rock that points southward, and place this sundial in front of it. So this is quite a public matter. Everyone was able to observe you doing this. So we might conclude from this that workers in the Valley of the Kings in pharaonic times had rights. If they had been slaves, their enslavers would most certainly not have let them keeping track of their work time. And one last observation is this: if we toggle these astronomic modes, now have a look at what number 2 does. Now it lies on the second line afternoon, but if I toggle all the astronomical modes, it moves on to the third line, and there it stays throughout the year. So from this we might conclude that this segment between noon and 2 o'clock would be most meaningful to workers in the Valley of the Kings. And as it is in the Valley of the Kings, this is the time when temperatures rise to an extent, to a level which makes productive work almost impossible. So workers would have gone into the shade, would have got some rest, or would do other work. So this ostracon is not only the world's oldest sundial, it might also be the world's first example of work time regulation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next presentation would be number 13. Is Christian here? Ah, did you, okay. Okay. Sorry about that. We're flexible, right?
So yesterday I announced my project talking about this portrait gallery in the Central Library of Lucerne, and yeah, I was pitching my idea and waiting outside there of some people joining me. Some guys came around, and before I can say one word, they disappeared. So, but I already used to be alone and a sad guy. So refreshed the ideas and said, okay, I have now 2 days time, so I will stay alone, as I'm used to be, and I'm looking for a new friend. And I found one, who is called ChatGPT. And I was like, why everyone say he? I have no idea about the gender of ChatGPT, but everyone says he, but this is so crazy, okay. So whatever, I found a new friend, called ChatGPT, and I asked ChatGPT, hey, nobody wants GLAMhack 23 in Geneva want to join me, maybe you have time, and let's build us together a web application about the library hall in Lucerne. There are some fancy portraits in it. And I might make some visualization of the room, and you can click on these frames, and then the portraits came up, and you can click on the portraits, and you give you some information, some biographical information in Wikidata. So that's what ChatGPT brought me up. You have here this web application. You have some arrows where you can a little bit click on it or something, whatever, this touchpad. Let's take a little bit. Unfortunately, these images in the background are really huge and consumes a lot of time to be loaded. The first, okay, so hopefully in the other direction it works a little bit faster. So listen to this silence of downloading some images from GitLab using Geneva's public Wi-Fi. So now it works a little bit faster for almost these 3 images. So you enter the library hall, you see this wall, it's the south orientated wall, and you can and you see the entrance into the library hall, and you can click, then you see this other window. So you can turn around with this image. It's not so really cool, but if you can imagine what I want to say, you can follow me. So then you see there are some frames containing portraits, and if you hover with your, nothing happens. That's so frustrating. So, okay. Oh God. So, okay. That's what I'm really fighting with ChatGPT to help me place this mapping right on those images. It doesn't work really well. You see such a mapping here, and this mapping should be a little bit more the left direction top here. Yeah, but if you click on this, then you receive those frame and all those portraits. They are loading very fast using Geneva's public Wi-Fi. And if you click on one of those grumpy old guys here, it opens a little bit more better to view, and I receive basic information from Wikidata. So first of all, the label and the description tag and nothing else, and I can move backward through this frame. Yes, so that's really first attempt of making such a web application. You can see I have a lot of problems already now, at least this mapping, this so crazy, and so it consumes so much time, at least to talk with ChatGPT, that I have no idea by prompting this correctly. Please give me a tool. But it was really what I've not only designed this web application using ChatGPT in this whole chat, in this one chat, we producing this web application, and then we're producing 2 or 3 other small applications I used to convert my data. We wrote a small Python script to build a huge JSON file background containing all the data stuff. Then I'm also developing 2 other JavaScript files to producing this mapping, which doesn't work so well. Yeah, so I have enough time the next days because I will stay alone and I will try to improve this application. So, thanks a lot.
Thank you. I think number 12 first, right? Or where is? Okay, number 15. Sorry, fake call.
Okay. We need a mic or is this enough?
So, hello everyone. I'm here speaking on behalf of the Challenge 15, Visualizing Collections and Enabling Collaborations. So let's just remember the problem we had at first, like the challenge that was posed to us at first by Alice, who is here, was that the Zurich Ethnographic Museum wants to develop collaborative provenance research project with concerned communities, but the collections at the museum are currently not online. So that was the first challenge, and the need was to find a creative solution that communicated to the general public where the collections come from and which period they arrive at the museum. So to do that, we were lucky enough to be kind of a dream team, I think. And it was really a mix of every profile, and I think it was really much needed to achieve our goal, because you will see it's like kind of multifaceted, not only technical, but we focused on very different aspects. So we were lucky enough to have an editor, an historian, a graphic designer, anthropologist, provenance researcher, digital humanity folk, art historians, curator, mediator, climate physicist, museum folk, data consultant, librarian, physical anthropologist. So be assured, like, we all mix some things in our profile, so which made it really interesting. So just a word about our workflow. So it all begins with the Excel export, so the CSV export of the museum FileMaker database, and of all entries, but of restricted fields, because all this data is not open data yet, we hope. And the selection, we had to make a smaller selection. Like, we hesitated at first. We were like, okay, let's work on the whole database, that would be amazing. And then we're like, okay, let's work on smaller object. The first restriction we made was we are going to work only on figure selection, but it was still more than 3,000 objects. And we tried it, and we were like, okay, let's make it smaller again and focus on a bright 442 objects. And we decided to work on these years, 1941 to 1963, because they are the moment of a director. I don't remember the name. Sorry. Steinman, Alfred Steinman directed the museum. So that was a way for us to choose a data set. It could have been another one, but that is ours for that challenge. Then that was the selection. Then we had to split into two different teams. As you can see on the workflow, they were more researcher. Please raise your hands, the researchers. Here they are, and the researcher team working on the text output, and the tech team, please raise your hands. Okay, the tech team, sorry. And we were playing on our strengths, and as you can see, we were all speaking together all the time, and sorry for the other team in the same room. And we had to exchange a lot about everything, like what do you think of that part and so on. And then for the tech part, we put all the data into OpenRefine. We had to uniformize something, reconcile with Wikidata, and add the coordinates with that tool. And then we put everything in a Jupyter Notebook to make the cartography. The Jupyter Notebook is almost working, so you will see what is on the orange arrow for today is still a fake mockup, but it's almost completely working. And on the other part of the room, the researchers were working on contextualization of objects, historical questions, and so on. And they wrote a text problematizing the corpus and documenting our choices. And at the same time, they were taking note of all the best practices that the museum could take away with putting the data online or open or whatsoever. So you have a multiple output, and I think they all go together because a map needs to be commented and data needs, it's important. It was important for us to have that multiple output. And let's go. Just at first, I'll just read an extract from the text, so you have like the kind of the same framework that we all have. And maybe I won't read it because it's only 10 seconds left. So, so let's be quick about it, and you can have access to the PowerPoint, I hope. So that's the map, and let Fasalit speak, sorry.
Yeah. Just this is an example of the map that is not ready yet, but it will be very soon. And the idea of the website is that you have a map where you have all the objects that are divided in countries. And when you have your timeline that is going from 1941, which is the beginning of Steinman's work at the museum, till 63, the round will increase, and it will signify when you have more objects in the here for figure in this specific country. And then after you'll have also like pop-up window that will appear in your screen with the about, sorry, this is the data page where you will have all the information about how we choose our data set. This is the explanation of the challenge, and like one pop-up screen of how it will be when you can consult this object information.
So in terms of the outlook, like I mentioned when I pitched this project, this is a very concrete problem that I have. And where are we going? So next week I have a meeting with the board of directors of the museum, and I feel so much better prepped for that meeting having spent 2 days with these guys. The topic is online data, making our data more accessible. So the prototype will be ready. I'll be able to share that with them as one example of how we could do that. Then over the next 6 months, I'm going to be trying to rally support internally, externally, fundraise, and try and get some backing for the Federal Office of Culture using this to explore colonial provenance. And then over the next few years, well, I need to build a team. We need to clean and validate the data, migrate maybe the system, test, and then we will be seeing you guys online.
And just to like close the challenge, we just really wanted to thank the GLAMhack challenge and the GLAMhack organization, Jonas, Gaston, Oleg, and Lionel, the team of Challenge 15, merci la Dream Team, and Meg, Floria, Martina, and l'équipe d'Antonietta au Café, and the Juris Ethnographic Museum for getting ready to open up. We know it's a big step. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're a little bit delayed, but I think everyone has time to listen to these amazing results, so we should be good. Next one would be Sandra Becker.
Hello again, at the end of these 2 amazing days. I was actually involved in several projects, and yeah, now you see what should have been there the first day. But I'm really glad I did some work on this project. I was not completely alone, but I had to develop the project first, so the group could not really join at that point, because I was a bit late. So the people who were actually later joining the interviews are Giovanni, user Shahadus Sudik, Lionel, Susanna, and Jörg. So thank you very much that I could interview you. And now I want to explain where the project goes to and what the next steps are. The general idea, the background, I already explained that the first day, so we'll make that really short. It's about giving the objects back to the original communities where they come from, using the personal views of people's experiences for telling new narratives, and with that share vulnerability and show invisible labor and put people to the center. The challenges and also the goals are that the audience becomes a creative partner of the social change, and the objects get with that out of the institutions. The stories of displacement shall be told. The dialogue with the objects should be enabled, and the audio file can be used as content devices, and they can be tagged, so they can be structured, and with that new knowledge can be created. Now the steps and the procedures are to ask people about their experiences with an object. I did that with the 5 mentioned people today. And also many thanks to Yolanda, who gave me the voice recorder to do that work today. So the next step is to put the audio files to comments. With that, then create categories and structures. And of course, make new interviews, more interviews. Then make this data available for research by creating structured data out of that. And at the end, very late, I don't know when that will happen, depending also on how the project will continue, to create an app to share the audio files on mobile devices as well. So with that, we can create oral history together. And I want to thank you all for the 5 people that were sitting with me and I could interview, for the voice recorder, for the organizers of this hackathon, and for all of you who gave me this opportunity being here. Thanks.
Thank you, Sandra. And I think, is this the last one, probably? Sorry? Ah, okay. Second last. I think it's number 12, right?
Names over there. So here we are again. We came here with this idea and we worked on this idea. So we connected with Local Context, Corey Rowe from Local Context, and had a call with her on the first day. And the idea is simply that there are these amazing tools that Local Context does. Traditional knowledge labels, biocultural labels, and the notices. And we think that they could be used more widely on Wikimedia Commons, especially, which is our project, but also on, let's say, like in Finland, the Finnish national aggregator Finna is interested in using that, or them. And, well, we didn't sort that out yet, but we discussed what would it take to bring them on Wikimedia Commons. So the starting point is generally an image of, well, an image of an object in a collection, or an image in a collection, or a collection, or all the items of an institution. So here's the story. What's the question about traditional knowledge labels? Let's say, well, I'm just reading. The institution Z has a collection X of items originating from community Y. A member of this community Y works with the institution Z to assign traditional knowledge labels to the items. This information is recorded in the Local Context Hub, a database. In their website, they manage it. They record information about the collection, the institution, and the community. And here you see all the possible TK labels, traditional knowledge labels. And just to repeat, these labels are supposed to be applied to the items or the collections by the communities that these materials content belongs to or originates from, and it is their authority that, that is needed to assign these labels. So collection maintainers, memory institutions need to work with these communities in order to be able to assign these labels. So, like, put in Wikimedia in this equation, how? So, the institution Z uploads images to Wikimedia Commons. The Wikidata item of the collection X is marked as having one or more local context labels attached to it. So this would be then traditional knowledge labels or biocultural labels. This way, the Wikimedia Commons page knows it must display the related traditional knowledge labels on the page. Well, this requires also that the labels are described on Wikidata. The label images are available on Wikimedia Commons, and that the label images are openly licensed. And to mitigate the misuse of the labels, a trademark template will be used with the images. So the traditional knowledge labels can be applied to items, collections, or the whole institution, but Wikimedia contributors should not be able to add them themselves. So what can they do then? Like, why put that in a crowdsourcing environment? Those, the volunteers, the contributors, oh well, this seems to be like a little bit outdated version. I did some last minute changes. Anyway, so I have, oh, sorry. Oh, what can they do? They can add notices. And well, this is just to maybe have an open end in this presentation. We need to go into each of these notices and actually each of those labels to see whether they are really applicable on Wikimedia Commons, and especially with these notices, how, like, as a contributor, can I add this specific notice? Or who can? And I think this is where we are, and this is where the story continues. We have a page which we didn't actually now link here. Yeah, oh, it's on Meta. I don't know if you know this, but Wikimedia has this saying, it's on Meta. It's like there's an app for it.
So I'll link the Meta page in the Slack channel. Thank you.
Too early, too early. I think this is the potato challenge, right? How could I forget about that? So this is number, I don't know the number, but 14, number 14.
Hi, so we're the Potato Challenge. It's a bit intimidating to be going after all of your great projects. So we were working with Oleg and Erika, who is over there, and also someone who left, whose name is Joachim. And the idea was that within the temporary exhibition that we are preparing at the MEG for next year, there's going to be a physical hands-on interactive installation, and we wanted to recreate that for the web. We wanted to recreate that for the website that will be the catalog of the temporary exhibition. And so we already had a concept and a little sketch of what we wanted to do. And the question, this is not the sketch, this is like the end result, kind of. So what we wanted to do was recreate exactly that. The thing is, when we started off, there was 3 of us, and none of us knew how to code. So, you know, well, first of all, we tried to open our laptops and, you know, get on the internet, and the internet was not working. So Oleg came in the room to help us fix the internet, and whilst he was helping us out, we were discussing about our challenge, and in my head, I was like, this is not going to work. If in an hour our brainstorming doesn't bring anything, you know what? we'll just drop the project and everybody can join other teams. But Oleg was listening in. And he was very busy, he had to help everybody out, but he gave us some ideas before he left. So we tried to input, like to do something with the ideas. It wasn't really working, we were still really struggling. And I was like, okay, now maybe it's the time to call it off. And then someone else came in, and I can't remember the order of the people who came in, but someone else came in and said, hey, I heard you were struggling, like, here are some ideas, why don't you try this and this and that? So I was like, okay, this is nice, and we tried, wasn't working. That happened 3 times. By this time, it was like 4 p.m. Yesterday, and I was like, I'm really, really, really ready to give in. And Oleg came at that time, and then was like, hey, this seems like fun, and started doing a lot of things on the computer, and about 2 hours later, something like this appeared without the potato. The potato, like, so it was just all these like little dots on the screen with words, and then I was like, hey, we're supposed to put this in an oval-shaped thing, a potato. And that actually took a whole like 3 hours. It was very complicated. And then what happened next? Like, can you help me out? I got a bit lost in my story.
Joachim came along, and he had never coded something, but he was really excited to try something out. And so he, like some of the previous teams, ended up plugging the whole idea into ChatGPT. And within minutes, which maybe seemed like, maybe it was hours that seemed like minutes, I can't remember, made a completely functional prototype. And then it was like a kind of human versus machine kind of situation. We were egging each other on until late last night to see who can basically come up with the best result within those 2 kind of competitive. And then this morning we decided to actually join forces, so it became human plus machine. And the result is this fresh kind of web page, which the institution uses actually the institution's own infrastructure, which is quite nice. So on Monday, the team can get together and see, you know, what's what, and hopefully put this to use. So the result is basically a visualization of the data about the emotions that are generated within the audience as they visit the exhibit. And there is a prototype data collection process, which still needs data protection and ethical review and maybe I don't know what. And but it's there, and hopefully they can use it. And we really hope that we've made a little contribution to your exhibition.
And you did, so thank you very much.
Well, we all did.
Cool. This was the last challenge. 1 second. So this was the last challenge. Thank you, everyone. Those were amazing results. So we plan on doing a group photo right now, but we will change the date to that after the last speech or after the end of this presentation. Could everyone come forward that we can make a group photo? Would be really nice. But we go now through everything else. I will be really quick. So if you not have already done so, can you please document your projects on DripDat? Would be really nice that we can do a blog post about it and so on and so on. Now that we are in the end, after the speeches, the ending speeches, we will have a DJ set, really cool. We will have it outdoor. We'll have it outdoors, and we will also have a apéro upstairs in Café du Mec. Don't be mean, keep it clean, it's the last day. We have also a survey for you, so maybe if you have time now or after the hackathon, could you please fill out the survey? We want to work on maybe a better version for 2024. I give you a few seconds. 3, 2, 1, okay. So finally, it's left to say I want to thank you all for coming. It's been amazing again, this GLAMhack, and we really were excited, and we were a little bit exhausted now, but we had a lot of fun. And I want to thank all the organizer team. I want to thank especially Grégoire, Florian, and Marina from the MEC, and also I want to also thank Brenda and Karin for the whole venue, so give a warm applause for them, please. Up.
And the last thank you goes to all the Max team, because without them this event wouldn't be possible. So thank you to the security team, thank you to the library team, thank you to the Café de Mac team, thank you to the desk team, thank you to all of them.
And we forgot, thank you to all our amazing partners. We had some incredible journeys with them. So thank you all for supporting this event. It's been pretty amazing with you, and we hope we can continue this partnership with you over the next few years. So our first speaker will be Beat Estermann. Thank you, Beat.
Yeah, thank you, Gaston. Thank you, Marina. And thank you all for this participation at this great project. So, I don't know, Christian, do you want to join me on stage? Or do you want to let me stay here alone? So it's now, thank you. It's now this traditional moment at the end of the GLAMhack, where I always quote Matthias Knepfer, the head of innovation of the National Library in 2015, with the word, the bon mot, after the hackathon is before the hackathon. So after the hackathon is before the GLAMhack, and next GLAMhack will be the 10 years Jubilee edition in Lucerne, the beautiful city of Lucerne. And you can see we have been building a bridge, also in terms of our topic. Our working title so far is Recollecting Peregrinations, a wordplay around like collections and the actual process of remembering, also remembering together, maybe also remembering in a dialogue between living people and artifacts in collections. And peregrinations, the term which is maybe a bit less loaded than colonialism. We want to focus on all kinds of movements of people, where people leave their homes, go elsewhere, meet other people, bring maybe stuff back. We have Lucerne, the city of tourism, the city also of the mercenaries, the city of crusades, the city of people traveling through for commercial purposes, for leisure purposes. And the event will be hosted by the Zentral- und Hochschulbibliothek Lucerne, which happens to be my first real library, which I actually visited after like the very local community library. So, and we're happy to have Christian here representing next year's host institution.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I don't feel really suitable to represent such a huge institution like the ZZB Lucerne, because I'm only a really small part and always working alone because I'm working from Austria. I'm working from Austria, remote, nearly 100% remote. I'm only 4 times a year in Lucerne. Maybe one of that is next year during the GLAMhack. I'm lucky because I have my own office there, so I can work for myself alone next year during the GLAMhack in my office. But hopefully we will meet together at the opening ceremony there, at the apéro and so on. And yes, in this bridge there are some pictures mounted. Maybe we can visualize and click on it and frame the maps a little bit better than I've done it before in the library hall images. Yeah, thanks a lot. Looking forward next year.
And to conclude your wonderful presentation, we just have 2 more speakers. Firstly, Brenda Lynn Edgar, the Chief Curator, Head of Collections Unit.
So, oh, the lights are really bright. So, thanks everybody. I took so many notes during your presentations, but I'm going to need OCR to be able to read them. And I mean, they were really full of a great deal of creativity and ideas and hard work. And a lot of meaning for open data and a lot of ideas and meanings for collections in general, and how, like open data, we can open these collections, and I'm really excited about all of them. I was really moved to see all of the pitches yesterday and come and observe this sort of frenetic energy and the smoke coming from everybody's head as I walked around the library earlier and everything. It was great. And I think the one observation that I'd like to say is that it really demonstrates that with all this technology, with AI, machine learning, metadata, JSON files, which I don't know what they are, you still need the human intelligence to make sense of that and to shape all this data and technology in a meaningful way that relates to society today. You still always need human intelligence and a lot of very creative, intelligent people working together intensely to shape this technology and to give it legibility and accessibility, which we've seen in a great deal of the pitches. And you need that human perspective. And I think in order to even forge that path in this wild jungle of information and data and technology, and forge that path in the past or the present, especially in the colonial past, you really need to care about doing that. And I think that's the first, all of you have shown how much you care about making sense of these things and making sense of the past, of which it's said that the past is a foreign country and they do things differently there. And for some people like me, hackathons and data and artificial intelligence are also foreign country, and you do things differently there. So I just want to thank you all for making sense of these things, making meaningful sense of this data, and helping us decolonize this data, and also not just for the MEGS collections, but for collections in general everywhere. Thanks very much.
And lastly, Karina Yele-Durand, the director of MEG.
Thank you all. Thank you for all your fantastic presentation. I was totally impressed, of course, by all the way you managed in 2 days to tackle all these issues and provide solutions, and I found it amazing. And yesterday I was just sneaking in all the groups, not all of them, but so many of them, and I was so touched and moved by the fact that you were all, as Brenda said just now, just bursting with energy in all the museum. It was lovely to see you all in every corner of the museum. I mean, be there in the room, the PITA room, but usually people don't even know where it is when they come to the museum, and then to the library, and then you were just everywhere. And I really hope that you felt comfortable in the museum, the way we do as workers here. So it was something I wanted to tell you, and I really need to thank so much Marina, Florian, and Grégoire for making all this possible for us in the museum, because I must admit that when Florian first told me about GLAMhack, I was just like, I don't know what this is. Absolutely not. And you said it, Beate, I mean, you're going to celebrate 10 years next year, and I just didn't know what it was. And then I was very much concerned, and I was scared that we wouldn't be able to do it because of so many things we were doing in the museum, exhibition work and everything. And Florian had to insist, I must say. And I'm so happy that we made it. So thank you, all of you. And Marina, I know you had to play a huge role in this, so thank you, Grégoire, as well. He's been working so much. And as Brenda said the first day, we realized we had some incurrency with our database, which is true, and many issues. So that was a good start, at least for us, to do this. And I'm also need to thank the organizing team, and Jonas, of course, but also Lionel and all the others who also provided data sets for this work. And I, of course, can't finish because I know you're dying now with going to the apéro, so I will be very brief. I can't just finish this without thanking the people behind the scene in the museum who made all this possible too. And I'm thinking a lot about the logistics team. We've been arranging all the rooms. I know it's a huge effort for them to do it. So I want to thank them and thank the staff in the library and everywhere. So now it's time for you to rest after all this work. And I'm happy to go with you and have a nice apéro now and listen to music. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We will be finished and we will jump back to that. Could everyone come please forward just for a second, and then you can go for some drinks, but just for a second here, and we could maybe move those tables.